Those first 5 pages are super important. Hi guys, my name is Vivian Reese and I want to help you write, publish, and market your novel. Today we're talking about the beginning of your novel and I'm giving you 7 tips for the first 5 pages of your book. But first, this was a viewer suggested video, so if you have your own suggestion for a video, just comment it down below. Even if I don't reply to your comment, I do add suggestions to a running list that I have because these videos are made for you, so I want to make sure it's the content that you want. All right, let's jump in. Number 1, a hook. This is probably something that you've already heard, but don't let that keep you from hearing the rest of my tips. I promise they're a little more original than this one. Your novel should start with something interesting enough to convince your reader to keep reading. If someone is going to bail out of a book, it's likely going to happen in the very beginning when they're not that invested, or in the middle when things get a little bit dry, but we're not talking about that right now. A lot of times your hook is the promise of adventure or drama. In Ready Player One, we are pulled in with the premise of adventure that is Anorak's invitation, the video. We want to know what's so special about this 5-minute video that it would become the most scrutinized piece of film in history. In The Book Thief, we're pulled in by the unique way that the story is told, with pauses for what seems like announcements, and also the fact that it is obviously narrated by death. That's pretty intriguing. Find something interesting, something unique, and hook your reader. Number 2, your first 5 pages should have a great opening line. This is something I wish I had done better in my debut novel, but we live and we learn. One great line can save an otherwise slow first few pages. One of my favorites to reference is The Martian. That was my knee that cracked. Which starts off with, "I'm pretty much effed," except he doesn't say effed. He says the real word, obviously. The Princess Bride starts with, "This is my favorite book in the world, though I have never read it." That lets you know a lot about the narrator in just one line. Your opening line could also be in the title of a chapter or a part, as in Gone Girl. The first part, I think, is called Boy Loses Girl. That clues you into things that are going to happen, and it pulls you in already. If you have a chance to hook the reader in the first few words, why wouldn't you? The more hooks you put into the first few pages, the better. Within reason. Don't get crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get crazy here, but there are extremists. Number 3, you should have your main character. This sounds obvious, but most of the time, your novel should start off with your main character. Why? Because it's who the reader is going to immediately connect to. Hopefully, it's who you want them to connect to. Having a multi-POV or multi-point of view novel means we'll be hopping into different heads, but first introduce your reader to the main character, the one whose story has the most impact, the one that's closest to the center of the plot, with the most change to make. But for all novels, not just multi-POV, you should hint at the main flaw that your character is going to have to overcome by the end of the novel. Establish who your character is and show how they react to situations, how they think their way out of a problem, how they view the world. Give your readers something to empathize with, to root for, or to laugh with your main character. Number 4, show the current life. You should also show your character's current life, which includes the setting. This can, and it really should be, something that shows the stark contrast of where your novel is going to end up. Your character is going through a lot of change in your story, and showing that visually by taking us through their life before the inciting incident helps us see how far that character is going to go by the end. We need a baseline, a point to jump from. So don't overlook the necessity of showing us where your character comes from. Their current life, living situation, job, schooling is another great place to tie in some conflict and hint at what's to come. Number 5, tone. Your first chapter should set the tone and the mood for your entire novel. If your novel starts out reading like a contemporary but ends up being a horror book, I said that weird, you might be doing something wrong here. It's great if you can use the first few pages to give the reader some hints as to where things might be going. If it's a romance, hint at the character's love life or lack thereof. If it's a fantasy, show us some cool or quirky aspects of life in this fantasy world. Set the tone for the rest of the novel so your readers won't be surprised when what they thought was a science fiction ends up being a historical romance. Setting the tone at the beginning is an undercurrent to where you'll be taking the reader. They may not be able to see it from the surface, with all the flashy hooks and characters, but the tone is a device your reader should be able to rely on for its consistency. Number 6, conflict. Your conflict in the first 5 pages does not have to be huge. You don't have to start things off with a huge bang. If you're starting your novel in media res or in the middle of the action, this is going to be a given. It will be easy to squeeze in that conflict in the first 5 pages. But if you're not jumping into the plot that quickly, at least show us some minor conflict early on that helps show us something about your character. Your main character failing a test, like my novel, The Elysian Prophecy, struggling to find food, like in The Hunger Games, being stranded on Mars and nobody knows that you're alive, like in The Martian. Enticing the reader with a little bit of conflict can immediately make your reader empathize with your protagonist as you show how they react to that conflict. We don't want to read about 300 pages of everything going perfectly well for your character. We want to see how someone comes out stronger after struggling, and promising your reader there will be plenty of struggle from the first page is a great way to hook them. My voice is giving out. And last up is a don't. Number 7, don't have any typos or grammatical errors. This obviously goes for your entire novel. You want to avoid it if you can, but it's especially important in the first 5 pages. If a reader is interested enough in your novel's cover and synopsis to pick it up and read it, don't scare them away with a typo. Be extra vigilant in these first pages. If a reader is browsing in a bookstore and picks your book up, they may test out the first chunk to see if they like it. If they're looking online on Amazon, they may take advantage of that look inside feature and start reading. Don't let any errors pull your reader out of the story this early on, because they're likely to stop reading your story right there. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope that was helpful. Comment down below with your own tips for the first 5 pages, your must-haves. And remember, if you ever have a suggestion for a video, just drop a line down below. If you want bonus tips and content, consider checking out my Patreon page. You can browse the tiers, and you can even read at least the titles of the posts without being a patron, so you can see if it's something that you would like, if it's something that you're interested in. Check back next week when I'll be going over first person versus third person. This is a highly requested topic, and I have tips for you to choose which one works for you and your novel. So until next time, happy writing!